Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the launch event of the Translational Manchester Informatics Training Scheme for 2022. My name is Alessandro, and I'm Translational Research Manager at the university. I manage Translation Manchester, which we will tell you a little bit more about today. Together with me today in the panel, the people that you should be able to see is Dr. Li-Jin Lin, Translational Research Bioinformatician. You'll hear about Li-Jin later on in this presentation today. And Dr. Fiona Foster, who is the other Translational Research Manager within the team, and Ikra Habib, our Translational Research Support Officer, which I would like to thank for making this event happen. Thank you so much, Ikra. And last but not least, Dr. Mudassar Iqbal. Mudassar is lecturer in health data science and also our academic lead for the Informatics Training Scheme. He will tell you a little bit more about the different units within the course, and then to help you making that choice. Talking about the workshop program, we have a little bit of an introduction on Translational Manchester and the way we are trying to tackle that bioinformatics bottleneck. We then have a little bit of an overview. This is from myself and Li-Jin. Then we'll have the review that I was just telling you about from Mudassar. Finally, we'll have a little bit of a testimonial from a previous participant. This will be recorded, so hopefully the technology will assist us in that. And then we will have a question and answer session. So we do have some frequently asked questions that we can answer to, but if you have any question to ask us, either at the end or during the presentation, please use the Q&A box that you should be able to see in your Zoom bar. And when you do ask a question, other people can also upvote it. So we will answer the questions that have got the greatest number of upvotes, or at least ask from them, and then we will try to cover them all, either in the chat or in the or live. If you have a question that we don't understand, we might make you panelists for a minute, so you can come in and ask that question yourself. If you've got any question that you want, any issue, you can raise your hand. We can see that, and then make sure that you're listened to. And if you got any technical issue, if you use the chat, I think Fiona and Ikra will be able to monitor that. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to take a little bit of a step back before introducing Translation Manchester and trying to explain what translational research is for those of you that might not be familiar with the term. We know that sometimes there is a bit of a language barrier. It's not translation, but so basically, translational research is the process by which you translate basic scientific research into patient-focused research, which will eventually improve healthcare outcomes and well-being within society. So this could be with a commercial angle, but can also be just about creating impact on patients. And this is what we're all about. We want to help you guys in facilitating that journey from discovery to innovation. I will share a little bit more about that. And we were established back in 2018 after we were funded by the Wellcome Trust through the Translational Partnership Award. And the Wellcome Trust is also behind these schemes, so they will fund your attendance to these courses. So the Wellcome Trust, what they want us to do is to help the progression of as many discoveries that we can from one stage to the other of the translational bottleneck, the translational journey, which looks a little bit simplistically like that. So when in the left you have discovery, and in the right you got innovation, and the journey can be hard. You can have steps back, you can have blockages, and our role is to help you not to get lost in translation. We've asked our researcher a few years ago now, back in 2020, I think, what the bottlenecks that they were experiencing were. And from this diagram, you can see that about a third of them say that the major bottleneck was funding. And as you might know, at Translation Manchester, we run several priming funding schemes to address that. But then the second greatest bottleneck was actually access to bioinformatics and biostatistics support. And for that, we have established a few mechanisms to tackle those bottlenecks. And in order to find out what those mechanisms are, I'll hand it over to our own translational research bioinformatician, Li-Jin. Li-Jin, the floor is all yours.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, Alexandra, for introduction. So here I'll go through with you several bioinformatics support provided by Translation Manchester here. And the support are provided through 3 channels. And Informatics Training Scheme, which is the main focus today, and Ali and Modessa will go through with you more details about that. But before that, I would like to introduce you to other channels here. First is Request Bioinformatics Expertise. So this is a service you can apply for. It is focusing on training and support, aiming to build up capacity and help researchers across the university to carry out their own independent analysis. What we can help with, we can help you identify your bottlenecks. We can help you and signpost appropriate training for your specific project. We can also provide one-to-one training and support, again, for you to carry out your own independent analysis. We can also help discover various collaboration options for you. And how to apply for our service? You can go to our website, and what's required here is you to fill in an application form, providing us more details about your project and help you access your need. We will then arrange for an initial discussion. Either we will signpost relevant training or provide relevant materials. We are not stopping here. We will also arrange further discussion or follow-up support if needed. So this is Bioinformatics Expertise Request Service. A second set of support we're providing is through a set of online resources. Ali, could you move to the next slide, please? So one example of the online resources is this online document, in which we collect a set of training availabilities, both internally or externally provided by prestigious research groups or institutions. Different from our informatics training scheme, you will know later, this is often short-term courses, including both core skills needed or more specialized training. As you can see, for some of the courses, costs are required. So again, different from informatics training scheme, you will need to source your own funding for attending this course. And another set of online resources are learning materials. So we collected a set of learning materials on GitHub repository. The aim is to collect self-explanatory or self-contained materials for you to learn bioinformatics yourself. This includes materials freely available online, as well as materials produced by myself. This is ongoing project, so we will update the materials. So your feedback and input are very valuable. So if you could spot anything you want to add to the repository, or if there's any other feedback, please get in touch. So these are 2 channels I've introduced here, where you can get bioinformatics support from Translation Manchester. And I will then hand over to Alexandro to introduce more about the informatics training scheme here.
Thank you, Jean. So there is a lot of support as you can see, but what you're here today is about the informatics training scheme. So let's just move on that. If you are interested in getting the support that Jean has just mentioned, you can just head on to our website, and all the information on how to access that support should be available. Also, Jean will be actively engaging with the cohort this year to make sure that they get the most out of being in the cohort by signposting to other training that can complement the learning. So we will make sure that that happens. So in terms of the informatics training scheme, then, if you I've just seen in the chat that the problem with the with the upvoting of the question is now fixed, so hopefully it should be okay. But let's talk about the informatics training scheme. So the scheme was established 4 years ago now, just to provide you with the opportunity to upskill in several areas, which are not just bioinformatics and biostatistics. As you might have seen from our brochure, there is a great variety of courses that you can select to attend. And the idea is that you join those courses and you get those skills that are needed in your practical research to advance in your translational journey. So we want you to apply that knowledge that you get from those courses, that are PGT courses, to then apply to your own research and progress. The courses are going beyond that. So those are master courses within the School of Biological Sciences and Health Sciences. And what happens is that you get given an opportunity to join it because you're already students or staff, and then you can not do the full master course, but a specific unit that you need within that. And that could be also in 2 different master courses. So they don't necessarily need to belong to the same program, because we got our own program at the university. You're allowed to apply to a maximum of 2 units. So we pay the university for this. The Translational Partnership Award and Welcome do pay for this. So we're asking if you do decide to apply, to commit the time and resources to this, because it is 15 credit units, and you putting out means that we invested resources that could have gone to another person. So this is all in the term and condition, which is the document that I advise you to read. As you can see from this graph to the right, we had an increasing number of applicants and awards over the years, and we expect the numbers to grow even more this year, given the interest that has been on the scheme in the past couple of weeks and at this event. In terms of eligibility, you should be a University of Manchester's PhD student or staff at any level. This includes any honorary position at the university. Your PhD course or your contract with the university should extend beyond the end date of the selected units. And this is because we will be following that up to see how participating at the scheme has helped you progress in your research. And obviously, we want that your project has some sort of translational angle. We will go through that in the next few slides, but basically we want to know that you have that line of sight to translate your research. It doesn't matter how early in the translational journey you are. So this is just to give you an overview on what type of applicants we had in the previous years. The majority of the applicants were from the Faculty of Biology, Medicine and Health. However, we did have participants from FSC and CRUK actually. Within FBMH, the division across the schools is as shown in this diagram in the middle. We do have less applicants from SHS, which is where the main expertise in informatics and biostatistics sits. And in terms of role, we have a variety of participants from PhD students all the way through professor, but the majority of people are either PhD students, research associate, or research fellow, including clinical research fellows. So how do you apply? Starting from today, the website page that is linked there, but also probably has already been linked in the chat, will have a link to an online application form. This should take not longer than about 20 minutes, but you do need some prior information before you start that application form, such as your support statement from the supervisor, if that applies to you. And that means mostly if you are a PhD student, research associate, or research assistant. We do not ask a statement from your supervisor or PI if you are a research fellow and above. But if you are not, then you'll have to arrange for that to happen, and you need to speak about your supervisor about the commitment that this course might entail. So that's all in the terms and conditions, which has been linked to the chat as well. And in the brochure, there should be information about that. The deadline for you to fill in that online application form is on the 5th of August. Sorry, the 8th of August at 5 p.m. And then again, this is just to highlight that we will be in touch with you at the end to ask a training report, a feedback on how the scheme has gone for you. You will notice that in the application form, there is some question about your date of birth and other other information that we usually don't ask, but this is because the process of enrolling you into these courses has changed this year. And this is just to highlight what the next step will be. So you will be registered as a postgraduate student, even if you're already a PGR or staff. And so what happens after you submit the application form is that we will review all applications and try to offer places depending on obviously the quality of the application. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later, and the course capacity, which is the main rate limiting step in this. So when possible, you will be enrolled in the units that you choose, or we will try to offer alternative courses that are similar, and we will be in touch with you about that if that is the case. We will automatically enroll you as students. So all those information that we ask you in the application form is for the purpose of doing that automatic enrollment. And once that happens, we will delete the personal information from our records, and you will not be shared with anyone. And after the enrollment has completed, then the university admission team will send you an offer letter. So that will be an official offer letter from the university, which will include instructions for you to register to our specific program. So at that stage, you will have to do a 10-step registration procedure, which will include you accepting the offer, and there will be right to study and criminal record checks. Fortunately, that's university policy for all students joining the university, even if they're already staff or students at the university. So I hope that's clear, but we will be in touch with more details about the next steps should we offer the place in the program. So in terms of the meaty part of the application, there is effectively 3 boxes that you will have to fill in. Those screenshots are from an old PDF application form, but they're the same on the online application form. So we will ask you what is your research about? And this is where we try to understand the translational relevance and the translational stage. Next page, I will show you a little bit about that. And it's only about 1,000 characters you can use. So there's about 150 words. And then we're asking you what skills you need, those skills that are provided by the courses you're applying for. And we want to see that those skills can really help you, perhaps analyzing data sets or letting you gain those skills in order to progress your research. And again, that's just 1,000 words for that one. And then the final question, number 3, which only applies to PhD students, postdocs, and research assistants, is about the statement from the laboratory head or your supervisor. And that's about us understanding why this training is important for you and for your personal development, but also for the wider research laboratory. So how your skills can improve the translational journey of research project, wider research project going on in the lab. So the way we make the decision is about the strength of those 3 answers, and how strong the support statement from the PI is, and the course capacity, which is, as I said before, something that can limit us offering the place. The statement for the PI, you will need to collect it, paste it in the application form, and you'll have to put the details of your PI, because that will be sent to them. They will be copied in your answer, so make sure you have discussed that with them. So in terms of translational pathway, for those of you that are not familiar, this is a little diagram that you can also find on our website that divides the translational journey in 4 discovery stages and 4 translational stages. And I just want to highlight that it doesn't matter how early you're in that journey, because if you do have that translational vision and angle, you could be a pure basic research, but you need the statistical knowledge or the bioinformatics knowledge to go to the next stage. That's fine. So if you use this diagram as a framework to trying to tell us where your research is, where you need to go, and why statistics are important for you to progress, that is what we're looking for. So in the discovery stage, you can have the basic knowledge leading to nothing but gaining that knowledge, and then you can reach a disease focus, which then we need a proof of concept in order to be progressing and being optimized before you reach patients, which is in the T stages. That's just a little bit of an overview. We can go in more details if needed in the question and answer session. But without further ado, I will pass it on to Mudassar now, telling us about the courses and the different units available in our program this year. Mudassar.
Yeah. Thank you, Alessandro. You'll have to move slides for me as well. I don't know who is leading. Hello, everyone. My name is Mudassar. I'm just going to quickly run through different units which are on offer in different courses. So this year we have added few more units, and especially on health informatics. So I think this will appeal to a wider pool of applicants. But I will start with a couple of important points. I think please look through, when you're making your choices, look through these course details in, spend some time on looking through these courses, because these courses are not designed for this training scheme. So these are basically existing postgraduate courses. So there will certainly be situations like this was too difficult or too easy, or part of this was not relevant. So I think more deliberation at this stage will help. Secondly, I think Li-Jing has already touched on this one, because these are not bespoke training courses for the specific data analysis task, right? So, I mean, there are some material which Li-Jing has mentioned, and I think there are a few routes for you if you want that, but these are basically skill development and for longer term. And so you could not, those training needs cannot, I mean, these cannot replace those training needs, but you have options this year because Li-Jing is there. She has collected a lot of materials, and she can help with that. Another point is that these courses are different master's courses which have quite a bit of overlap in many units. So sometimes the names would be exactly similar, very similar, but the content, the depth and breadth would be different. So first, the level of the depth and breadth is different, but also the focus of the course, so genomic medicine versus clinical bioinformatics, etc. So keep these points in mind and spend some time looking through the booklet as well as the course web pages to make choices. So moving on. So the first up course available is our MSc in Bioinformatics and Systems Biology. So this is it mainly caters for students with computer science, maths, life sciences, medical sciences degrees. So it would not be, the most courses would not be assuming any significant prior informatics backgrounds. So we have 4 courses, which starting with bioinformatics, which basically covers the practical tools and techniques for sequence and structural analysis, wider bioinformatics databases and resources for different omics analysis. Programming skills module covers Python and Java programming with biological applications, biomedical applications. Computational approaches to biology focuses on different modeling techniques with obviously biomedical applications focus, starts with dimensionality reduction, clustering, and then move on to different modeling regimes like differential equation-based models, constraint-based modeling, and also it includes a separate section on NGS analysis, and there's a RNA-seq workflow, so that might be important for some people. Experimental design and statistics involves very relevant basic stats and probability concepts, hypothesis testing, experimental design, but also includes some hands-on data handling and statistical analysis using R programming language. So in my understanding, some familiarity with R would be helpful, but it's definitely not required as it goes. Let me move on. So second course is a PG Cert, which is an online distance learning course, which covers bioinformatics and related areas with the clinical genomics application focus. Again, I would say the level of depth is different if compared to the previous MSc we've just talked about. 4 units on offer are the introduction to clinical bioinformatics, which is basically covers background on human genomics, bioinformatics tools with human genetics and genomics applications. So the context is different. So you have more clinical diagnostics and applications. Introduction to Health Informatics is an introductory course with working with health data, especially electronic health records, and also covers related human and organizational issues. Introduction to Programming is another programming course, which is mainly Python, probably relatively lighter touch compared to programming skills in the previous slides. So next one is Introduction to Next-Gen Sequencing, which again, the focus is clinical diagnostic applications. So bioinformatics tools for analysis of NGS data with focus on patient diagnosis, gene panels, variant calling, and in the application in clinical diagnostics. Next one, please. This is Health Education England accredited course, mainly kind of intended for healthcare professionals, and specialized for genomics, genetics, and bioinformatics for patients care. So you see the direction of, the way the focus is for this course. So the courses available are Next-Gen Sequencing and Omics in Medicine Disease, which covers NGS methods, especially, not limited to, but some of the just points I'll mention, the genotyping, looking at different types of genetic variations and their applications in clinical genomic setting. There's also a significant amount of discussion on related other omics, which are kind of supporting the diagnostics and so other omic techniques, but within the overall focus of the course. So health informatics is very similar to the previous we mentioned on a PG Cert, so I wouldn't go any more detail. Economics of genomics and precision medicine is an interesting one. So if you are interested in the economics of modern day healthcare, this is a useful unit. So it involves in critical appraisal of model-based evaluations, you can say, or interventions which are relevant to human genomics. So there it is. Next one. This is another PG Cert which is on offer. So we have this is quite a growing area of health data science. Maths and stats module covers necessary background in applied statistics, but also it includes topics in exploratory data analysis and visualization, which is quite important. Also, prediction and inference, which is topics like linear and logistic regression and causal inference, and all the practicals are in our data engineering unit. Focuses on practical techniques in data engineering, best practice in programming, and interaction with biological resources, databases, etc. Systems and technologies is a unit which covers health systems and tech and the impact in healthcare, approaches to systems development, and especially it covers the security, privacy, and quality issues related to patients' data, which is quite key in this course. Next one, please. Masters of Public Health. So again, this is again a distance learning course, which is also, I think, mainly catering for public health professionals. And I won't go into detail of these courses, but we have new units in this course, which has quite a bit of informatics content, and in units like applied epidemiology, digital health, population health. So if you're interested in those next one, please. So MSc Health Informatics. So this is a new course I was talking about earlier. So we have added this year. So this MSc in Health Informatics is basically a joint award, part of the joint award with UCL. And if I understand correctly, some of the content in certain modules might be in person in London. So that's up to you. Make the Health Informatics plus sightseeing. Obviously, we will not be paying for sightseeing. Quite a few units on offer in this module. So these are covering, I'll just want to go through one by one. So these units are covering different aspects of health information systems and technologies, starting from data analytics to clinical decision support, and dealing with organizational change issues, which are key, and also how data digital systems are playing a huge role in improving healthcare overall. Next one, please. So beside the courses we have discussed, which are all of them are postgraduate MSc or PG Cert courses, we have included this 5-credit self-led introductory research methods units in basic statistics, programming, which is again Python programming, and machine learning. So please note that these are self-led and these are very introductory, and it depends what you're looking for. So if you are looking for a foot in the door in ML, so this would be a good one to start with. But it's just introduction, nothing more. So you can have a taster and in a specific area and in programming, for example, and then you can go on to do whatever you want to do, more courses or dig deep into that area. So this will definitely give you a really well done courses and give you a foot in the door. Sure. So, also, we have, I think these MOOCs, you do not need to apply through our program fully, but our colleagues have done a really good job in creating those 2 MOOCs in clinical bioinformatics and also AI for healthcare, so which you can certainly make use of. It's online and free for everyone. Finally, I must say, I have really, in the interest of time, I have to run through this. We cannot really cover those courses in much detail. So it's just a very quick overview of the courses. You have to go through the module pages and discuss, think, and then carefully decide. The point I want to make on this last slide is that I'm just putting a few overlapping courses. It might not be everything. It's just a scenario. I just want to touch on the scenario for choice. So you have to go through in detail to make your choices. A few points here. So these are a few different courses and the units which are on offers, which are, in my opinion, quite a bit of content is overlapping. So things to consider. So for example, here you have programming courses in different programming units in different courses, like programming skills, introduction to programming, even in research methods you have programming. So which one, how long the course is, how much time you have to spend, and how much deep you want to go in. So that will help you decide. Bioinformatics itself have bioinformatics versus clinical bioinformatics. So there is definitely some overlap, but the focus is quite different. So make informed choice there. Statistics, math topics are in quite few modules. Introduction to statistics, very basic one, but in PG Cert in health data science, you have quite a bit of maths and stats, but also experimental design, which I think we forgot to add here. So quite a bit of maths and stats in that module. So you basically compare those 3 to decide. And a couple of NGS courses, Introduction to Next-Gen Sequencing and Omics and Disease one in MSc Genomic Medicine. So you have to compare and contrast to decide which one and which one you want. Overall, you have to compare also this PG Cert is MSc, so level of the content and the focus of the course. So these are the few points, just putting this scenario in front of you. But this has been an issue. Making a right choice is quite important at this stage. So I will say again, please spend some time looking through those courses and decide carefully. We can certainly help, but I think mainly is coming from you. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Mudassar, for the overview. And we now can listen to a previous participant to see how they found the course. Hopefully the technology will assist us. So this is a clinical research fellow doing a PhD within the university. And he has attended back in 2021, I think, with a couple of units, and he will tell us about how that has helped his research and how we found the course. So hopefully I'll mute myself and you'll be able to hear it. If I can have some thumbs up from the team when it starts, that would be great.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lewis Dingle. I'm a second-year PhD student at the Blom Mackindo Laboratory, studying the proteomics of human complex wounds. Apologies for not being able to give this talk in person today. However, Ali and the team at Translation Manchester asked if I would say a few words about my experience as a successful beneficiary of the Informatics Training Scheme over the last 12 months. By way of background, my research focuses on complex wounds, which are those which, despite best medical care, fail to reach a healed state. Such wounds are increasingly common, accounting for over 5% of the NHS budget, and affect millions of people both in the UK and indeed around the world. Whilst we understand why wounds heal quite well, we have less understanding about why wounds fail to heal. All wounds, however, share a number of pathophysiological features such as excess neutrophil and protease activity, failure to progress from inflammation to proliferation, and an altered cytokine profile. These shared features suggest a potential shared molecular basis. However, despite much research, no clinically applicable biomarker for healing or failure to heal have been identified and put into practice thus far. Much previous research used traditional proteomics techniques. However, over the last few years, mass spectrometry has now become regarded as the gold standard and offers significant advantages in terms of scope and depth of proteomic analysis at an increasingly affordable cost. However, such mass spec techniques are challenging, complicated, and the proteomic data produced is highly complex, requiring the input of specialists in both mass spectrometry and in the bioinformatic interpretation. As a simple clinician, returning to research was challenging enough. However, when faced with mass spec-derived proteomic data, the task felt even more daunting. Through discussion with Translation Manchester and my supervisors, I applied for the ITS scheme and was successfully allocated a place on 2 of the modules from the MSc in Bioinformatics and Systems Biology. Having studied the modules available, I felt that the combination of these 2 would provide me with a solid foundation of knowledge in molecular medicine as it relates to bioinformatics. More importantly, it offered a chance to understand the vast array of software, databases and approaches used to interpret bioinformatic data and proteomic data in particular. Combining this with some knowledge of coding felt sensible given its role in handling massive amounts of data in a more practical and user-friendly way. And as a complete coding novice, this again was a prime opportunity. Lastly, the scheme offered the chance to increase my knowledge and bridge the gap between me as the clinician researcher and the experts in bioinformatics and mass spectrometry at the university who I was going to be working with. The time commitment was reasonable, with lectures for each module once a week as well as a workshop usually lasting for a couple of hours on one day a week. The project work associated with the modules for the MSc students was optional for the ITS scheme. However, doing it reinforced the learning from the taught components. Some of this was fairly time-consuming, particularly the coding modules. However, importantly, additional reading and practice certainly is recommended to better understand the informatics databases used or the coding concepts taught that week. This is worth bearing in mind for anyone who's considering applying for and getting the most out of the ITS scheme, and occasionally it did clash with some of my research time. Overall, however, it was an excellent learning opportunity, offered fully funded by the university and through Translation Manchester. My confidence and understanding of proteomic data and bioinformatic data in general was vastly improved, which has led to and continues to contribute to more productive and purposeful discussions with my collaborators and supervisors. Being fortunate enough to use the scheme has certainly driven my research forward, and has importantly given me insight into the potential limitations and methodological flaws that I might have otherwise pursued. I would highly recommend this scheme to anyone who feels their bioinformatics skills need improving, and I'm definitely considering applying again to build further on the knowledge from last year. I'd like to thank again the Translation Manchester team for their support in providing me with the opportunity to use the ITS scheme. Many thanks for listening, and good luck to those who will choose to apply to this great scheme in 2021-22.
Good. I hope you all heard that, and then I think it was a good testimonial on the quality of the scheme, on the commitment that is required, and hopefully will help you making your choice to apply or not. Okay, I think we have finished our presentation now, but we can open the floor to question and answer. We do have some frequently asked questions, but also I can see that in the chat there's been a few posted, so I suggest we start from those, if that's okay with the rest of the panel. I've seen that some of them have been already answered, but that reminded me that I didn't really mention anything about the marking. So you, as participant from the Informatics Training Scheme, you will not have to submit any coursework in any of the units you are enrolled into. So you are not going to be assessed like the normal students are. So that's important to bear in mind. Some lecturer might offer you to optionally submit one and give feedback, but as part of our scheme, marking and assessment is not part of it. It's more the experience and you, the learning that you might have rather than assessing that learning. So I hope that clarified that aspect of the application. So in terms of other questions, then shall I start from the top?
shall I read them out and then you and Nijing can answer, and Mudassa for some of them?
That would be very useful. Thank you.
So the first one is, would the units be usable towards a PG Cert with self-alternative funding for additional units?
Okay, so I think the answer to this will have to be no. Mudassa can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you will be enrolled into our own program, which is called Informatics Training Scheme program from Translational Manchester, which is not part of any other PG cert. So we will not give you a degree at the end of that. We can give you a certificate if you want to, but I don't think you can use the attendance to these to gain a PG cert from the university. But that's have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, Alessandro, I agree with you. I mean, certainly the first answer is no, but we will be giving a proof that you have attended this.
Yeah.
So if the course you are going into, they can accept you with this proof, or you can get some advantage. That's up to you and up to that course team, right? Nothing to do with us. So we can certainly give you proof that you attended this without assessment.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Next question is, for the Bioinformatics training course, is a University of Manchester contract mandatory, or can CRUK, MI staff or NHS doctors with no UOM contract apply?
Again, I'll try to answer this one. So as we are funded by the Wellcome Trust to help researchers at the University of Manchester to progress their research, this is really limited to University of Manchester staff and students. However, a honorary contract would make you eligible. So, for example, if you have a university IT account, that would make you eligible. And I think CRUK are University of Manchester staff. So I don't see that being a problem, because effectively you are. But if you get back in touch with us, we can confirm that 100%. But that would be my answer. Melissa, I hope that answered your question. But get in touch at translation@manchester.ac.uk and we can confirm that further.
Cool. Okay, the next one is, can you reapply at the next round if you've successfully completed modules this time?
Yeah, I think that doesn't stop you applying again. So this is going to be running again next year. So for example, Mudassar earlier on really explained how you can do like step in the door for some of the courses, like the introduction to programming or to machine learning, and then maybe next year you want to apply to do 2 different courses to go a little bit further. We don't stop you from doing that.
So you should obviously not the same course.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I should have said that.
Good clarification, Mudassar. And then, I'm a last year PhD student, can I apply?
So again, the answer is, well, it's a bit more complicated than that. So yes, if your PhD goes beyond the course you're intending to do, but the last year of a PhD, as we all know, it's a very busy time. So you really need to discuss that with your supervisor and decide if you can commit to a 15 credit or even 30 credit if you do 2 units course in a busy time like the writing up. Don't know if Mudassar, you want to add anything to that in terms of commitment?
No, I agree with you.
So you'll have to discuss that with your supervisor, and if they support you and you're aware that this is going to be a time commitment of 15 credits or 30 credits, then nothing stops you from applying if your course finishes before your PhD does.
Okay, and the next one is, what will be the certification obtained at the end of the modules?
So I don't know if anyone else wants to answer. I think we covered it a bit. We can give you a certificate, but the whole point is not for you to get a certification in this one. It's about you upskilling in an area that is helpful for your research. So I don't know if anyone else in the panel wants to add anything to that.
Cool. No, that's fine. Okay, is it possible to do entire units virtually? Will lectures, workshops be recorded?
Sorry, Fiona, it went a bit quiet there.
Okay. Is it possible to do entire units virtually? Will lectures, workshops be recorded?
So I think that depends pretty much on the course. Some courses are online only. I think that should be stated on the brochure, but for the courses that are face-to-face and online, we cannot change that just for our students. I don't know if that answers the question, and if anyone else wants to add anything. Jean or Mudassar, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, most of the courses have this information, I think. So you need to make sure that the time commitment you are agreeing and logistics you are happy with. If it's in person, you can attend in person. The extreme case I mentioned of the London ones. So some of the in person you might have to go to London. So I mean, it will be course by course, unit by unit. So the way they've been, it's not going to change because of our students. So they already have plans in either in person or online or hybrid. So you have to follow that.
And if it's unclear if a course is online, hybrid, or face-to-face, just get in touch with us and we can confirm that. We also have another panelist joining us now, Joey, one of the lecturers in one of the courses here. So if there is any question around your specific courses, you can pick them up. Joey, thank you so much for coming.
Cool. Okay. Would it be, so the next question, would it be possible to get more info on how much time in lectures, workshops, etc. the courses require? Yeah, they need more information on how much time they need to take out to do the work, especially for the bioinformatics and fundamentals of epidemiology units.
Okay, so that varies from course to course. I mean, you provide a specific example. I don't have a timetable in my head of a specific course. I don't know if Mudassar or Joey might have, but it's 15 credits. So what does that mean, Mudassar, in terms of hours of commitment usually? And
no, I think so. This is bioinformatics course in the systems MSc Bioinformatics Systems Biology, right?
Yeah.
We can answer. I mean, I don't know how this is organized. So how many lectures are there? There are workshops. But if someone looking at the brochure, there might be some information already added there. This time, could you check?
It could be, and also, I think the best thing to do, since this is a specific course, we can try to dish out the timetable from last year to give you an idea of the commitment from this year. So I don't know who the person is, but if they can get in touch with us at translation inbox, we can look at that particular timetable and let you know. Unfortunately, we don't have the timetables for this year yet, so we won't know when those sessions and if they're the same session, but we expect that to be similar.
I'd like to comment a bit more here about the time for, so we got this information from a program director. And so for some courses, we do have total hours needed to committed to each unit. For example, the MSc in Health Informatics, we do give information about the time, for example, 150 hours in total, and including learning and teaching. But for other information, as we didn't get this information, and we are not providing it on the brochure, but if for specific courses you need information, please get in touch. We could try our best to find out for you.
Thank you, Jean.
Okay, so the next question. Once again, around whether assessments are required in relation particularly to the statistics and experimental design unit of the master's bioinformatics and systems analysis course. Yeah, I think there's a bit of confusion as to whether, because under assessments it suggests it's required, but under the terms and conditions it suggests they're not.
Okay, so I think that's probably an error. So assessment is not required.
Cool.
Apologies for that.
Yeah, I think for that specific course, we did provide details about what the assessments are, but the general principle is please don't submit your assessment, as this will not be marked. For some courses where the unit coordinator are happy to mark. We've already indicated in the booklet, but there are very few of them. So the general principle is please don't submit the assessment, as this will not be marked. Hope this answers the question.
Thank you, Li-Jing and Alessandro. And then the next, one of the most liked, is could someone clarify the specific omics covered in these modules? I'm not sure which modules. It seems like the module focuses more on genomics over proteomics and metabolomics.
Yeah, so I'm not sure which module they're talking about. Probably could they clarify? I would say I would agree on your. I mean, this more genomics than proteomics and metabolomics in general, all of them actually. So it's mostly genomics. So there's but it's specific course. So for example, if you're talking about the and next-gen sequencing in omics in medicine and disease, so it's mostly genetics to start with, genomic variations, and then the supporting omics like RNA and proteomics are covered, but they are not the mainstay of the course, I think. So the main is the genotyping and genomic variations, all types of genomic variations, but the other omics are quite, I mean, there are lectures, there are sessions, but it's not the main kind of focus of the course. So this is why I said the other.
That's kind of what I mean with all of them. None of them seem to, any that kind of touch on omics, it really just seems to be genomics and transcriptomics, and then
I agree. Proteomics is not much. In bioinformatics module, there's some proteomics, but I think it's just the resources and databases a little bit. So proteomics and metabolomics is something which is not really covered in most of them. Yes, I agree overall.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one, most votes is, can students on placement outside of the UK apply for units that involve face-to-face teaching but no marked group assessment? Will these sessions be recorded and available online? I think we've sort of answered this, but thought we'd ask again.
I would say this could get tricky. We do not know. So best bet would be to apply for units which are online if you are outside UK, because we're not sure if it's going to be recorded or not, if they're hybrid.
Yeah, and I would suggest if you do, sorry, Madassa, go on.
Go ahead.
I suggest if you do decide to go ahead and apply for those units anyway, just make sure you tell us in the application form somewhere that you will only be attending in the online session. Priority might be given to people that can attend it all. But if you think that only those units are relevant to you and you wouldn't be attending one that is online only, do apply for the one that you want and put that in the application somewhere.
Can I just add, Alessandro, that, I mean, for everybody, this is that there are, I mean, from the past experience, there are some units which get more popular than others. So probably, is it allowed to get this options, right, Alessandro? So
say that again, sorry, Melissa.
Give your preference, like my first two, and then if not these, then this and this.
No, we don't have that implemented into the application form yet. Okay. We can probably add it.
Is there option to in the note sections where people add? We do know that a couple of modules are really popular, so they, I mean, some you have many more than.
Yeah, so there is 3 boxes when you explain the importance of the skills for your research. So in there you could put if those courses are not available, I'd be interested in this and that. But we can also modify the application form to add second choice units. Perhaps we'll look into that.
Okay, excuse me. Thank you. And I'm just looking for what is the next most popular. What's the difference between an MSc and a PG certificate in terms of commitment and tasks?
That's how you can answer that one, or Joey.
Want to volunteer? I will let you.
Okay, that's a good question. So it will depend on the actual structure of the unit or the module, but typically in PG Cert, it's there'll be a lot less content, maybe spread out over a longer time period, depending on the course itself. And the masters will focus on a lot more in-depth theory and knowledge. So there's like a difference in the level there. And so if you are considering one or the other, have to think about whether you want in-depth knowledge in something or whether you're happy to have like introductory knowledge, which is probably what the PG Cert will be better at doing. Yeah, I think that's probably how I would summarize the differences.
That sounds good. And also, am I correct in thinking that the MSc normally, not through this route, but if you were doing an MSc, you will have also a research component as well as the thought component, but that doesn't apply to our participant because they'll already do the thought component of the MSc anyway. Is that? Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And yes, you'd also have to do your assignments to the master's quality standards. So you'd be marked against a different like criteria level for that as well. So we'd expect a bit more. Okay.
But that obviously doesn't apply for these people applying. So thank you for answering that question.
Yes, you can escape the assignments here.
Yeah. And a straightforward question, hopefully for everyone. Can we only pick 2 units in total or 2 units per course?
So it's 2 units in total. They can be from the same course or from different courses, but only 2 units in total.
Perfect. Is there a grace period for changing units?
I want to say no. Ideally, we want to know what unit you want to do by the 8th of August. If you do apply before the 8th of August and then you change your mind before that, just get in touch and we might be able to change it. But the 8th of August is quite, because we're going to work on strict timelines to get you enrolled and registered to the course. So we would appreciate if you wouldn't change that choice. Sorry.
And just to add to that, these courses are being run live with the academic year group who are signed up for the full course. So that's why we can't really be too lenient with timing. We have to get you on at the times that we are running these units or modules.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. I'm not sure I understand the next question, but can we apply for both units of the MSc in Bioinformatics and System Biology, even though they run at the same time? And
yeah.
Then the first 2, and then there seems to be a bit of a sentence missing.
Yeah, I think is the programming and bioinformatics that they're referring to, and the answer is yes, you can, because that's what the students will be doing in that course anyway. Mudassa, correct me if I'm wrong. I just need to make sure that in those dates you can commit to it, because if you do 2 15 credits unit going from September to December, it's going to be busy. Almost a full-time MSc thought course.
Okay.
It's a common combination, that one.
Cool. And with 1 minute to go, I believe we have one question left, which is, please, do we have to do research to complete the course, like a Masters in Public Health?
So in order to apply to this scheme, you will have to be engaging with research, translational research anyway. The nature of that research might be different, but you'll have to be doing either a PhD, so like involved research, or being an academic member of staff. Sorry, Mudassa, go on.
It might be, I might be wrong, Alessandro, but I think they might mean that research with part of the masters, a part of the unit.
Oh, I see.
So I mean, it depends on the unit. I've not seen the, I mean, I wouldn't say for all of them, they're not in front of me, but I would say if this research is part of an exam assessment, right, then you don't have to do it. If you are doing some research work, like researching a topic as part of the classwork, so I mean, I would say these are the taught courses, right? So there would not be heavy research component to them. And if there's a research thesis or is it a dissertation at the end, you would not be doing that. You are just doing the taught component of these courses, and you are not completing an MPH per se. You are just taking 1 unit or 2 units from that course. So
So I think we answered in both ways. If he was referring to the research within the course or your own research, you're undertaking in your own PhD or research group.
Okay, that was all the questions that were in the Q&A section and the chat. So.
That's very good. So if there is no further question, then I think we can. I heard something. If there is no further question, then I think we can close the session just in time. I would like to thank everybody for coming, to thank all the panelists today for providing valuable information about the scheme. If you do have any questions, just do not hesitate to get in touch with us at the Translation Manchester inbox, which is translation@manchester.ac.uk. And we look forward to receive your applications. Thank you very much.